A Plate by Gertrude Stein, 1874 to 1946. A plate. An occasion for a plate, an occasional resource is in buying. And how soon does washing enable a selection of the same thing neater? If the party is small, a clever song is in order. Plates and a dinner set of coloured china, pack together a string, and enough with it to protect the centre, cause a considerable haste, and gather more as it is cooling. Collect more trembling, and not any even trembling, cause a whole thing to be a church. A sad size, a size that is not sad, is blue, as every bit of blue is precious. A kind of green, a game in green, and nothing flat, nothing quite flat, and more round, nothing, a particular colour. Strangely, nothing breaking, the losing of no little piece. A splendid address, a really splendid address, is not shown by giving a flower freely. It is not shown by a mark or by wetting. Cut in white so lately, cut more than any other and show it. Show it in the stem, and in starting, and in evening, coming complication. A lamp is not the only sign of glass. The lamp and the cake are not the only sign of stone. The lamp and the cake and the cover are not the only necessity altogether. A plan, a hearty plan, a compressed disease, and no coffee, not even a card or a change to incline each way. A plan that has that excess, and that break is the one that shows filling. Okay, this is a poem by Gertrude Stein. Let's see, Gertrude Stein was an American. She was born in Pittsburgh and she grew up in Oakland, California. That's the other side of the bridge from San Francisco. When she was 30 or 29, she moved to Paris and she lived in Paris for the rest of her life. She used to host a salon. This is effectively a place where artists would meet. This reminds me very much of the Bloomsbury Group. And she used to have meetings with people like Pablo Picasso, Ernest Hemingway, Scott Fitzgerald, Ezra Pound, Henri Matisse. So she would have she would entertain all of these people together. She was a writer, a poet, a novelist, playwright, and an art collector as well. Let's see, in 1933 she published her memoir of being in Paris, the autobiography of Alice Toklas. Alice Toklas was her wife, her life partner. Now, I think Stein's also interesting in that she lived in Paris all of the way through the Second World War, and she was a Jew. So anyway, what's this poem about? Okay, let's see. She was part of the modernist movement, of modernism, and this poem in itself, it comes from a book called Tender Buttons, And the poems in Tender Buttons are poems that talk about everyday ordinary objects, and in this one it's a plate, talking about plates. And she uses experimental language. She uses experimental punctuation. She doesn't the poems in this are like cubist poetry, and you have to read this. The syntax, the punctuation, these don't follow. Don't follow the normal rules, and you need to interpret this poem as it hits you, as it makes you feel, as you interpret it. And this is like looking at a piece of modernist art. I'm thinking of looking at Picasso's Guernica, and you have to interpret it in the way it echoes within you. And this is what you need to do with this poetry. And there is no right explanation for this poetry. There is no right answer. It's only what it means to you. And she's using the words and the everything in an experimental way. She's breaking the rules of syntax. And like this, I think she hopes that you are looking at everyday objects in a different way, and everybody will interpret this in their own way, and no way of interpreting it is wrong. A plate, an occasion for a plate, a party. An occasional resource is in buying. And occasionally, sometimes you buy plates. Yeah, you go to the shop to buy plates. And how soon does washing enable a selection of the same thing neater? And then maybe if you wash the plate, then you can put different things on it. So how often you wash it depends on how many different things it's going to have on it. And if the party is small, a clever song is in order. So a plate is for a party, something to go on the table at a dinner party. And for a small party, then maybe you could make up and sing a song. So notice this is just my interpretation of the words, but for you these words will give a different meaning. Plates and a dinner set of coloured china. So this is a set of plates, a set of plates for dinner, and perhaps a table laid. Pack together a string and enough with it to protect the centre. So when you move, you need to tie your plates up. You need to protect the centre of the plates. Cause a considerable haste and gather more as it is cooling. So you have to move quickly with the food because the food is cooling and you've got to get it to the people before it gets cold. Collect more trembling, and not any even trembling, cause a whole thing to be a church. Now I have the idea of a gelatine or a jelly wobbling on this plate, and it's trembling. And the whole thing of a dinner party, of entertaining people with food, this is like a religion. And there is a litany of what you eat with what and how you do it and what you say to people. A sad size, a size that is not sad, is blue, as every bit of blue is precious. I like this, a sad size, a size. So she's using this poetic technique of repetition at the beginning. And I think a sad size is a small plate. And it's okay as long as it's blue, because blue is a precious colour. A kind of green, a game in green, and nothing flat, nothing quite flat, and nothing more round. So maybe a green plate for a salad, and something that's flat and round. Nothing a particular colour strangely, nothing breaking the losing of no little piece. So the plates have strange colours compared to the food. And if you break a plate, it's very often you take the plate and you keep all the pieces because you're going to repair it, and then you end up losing one tiny piece. A splendid address, a really splendid address. And notice here, she's doing this again. It's like a sad sigh's a sighs. A splendid address, a really splendid address, is not shown by giving a flower freely. So when somebody makes a beautiful speech at a dinner party, the answer is not to give this person a flower. It's not shown by a mark or by wetting. So you don't mark this person who makes a splendid speech, and you don't wet this person as well. Cut in white, and here she goes again. Cut in white so lately. So when you're cutting your food on the plate, make sure you cut it on the white part. To me, this reminds me of not stepping on the cracks as you're walking down the street. Cut more than any other and show it. So cut things as smaller than everybody else, and let everybody see that you're cutting small. Show it in the stem, and in starting, and in evening coming complication. So show it with the stem of your piece of food, of your vegetable. And when you start in the evening, you will see the complications coming. A lamp is not the only sign of glass. So there's a lamp in this room and in this dinner party, and this lamp is not the only piece of glass that is shining. The lamp and the cake are not the only sign of stone. So you have a lamp and you have a cake. This is now a tea party where everybody's having cake. The lamp and the cake and the cover are not the only necessity altogether. So for a good tea party, you need more than a lamp and a cake and a cover over the cake. You need other things. You need good sandwiches and tea and all sorts of things. A plan, a hearty plan. Here she's repeating again. A compressed disease and no coffee. So you need a plan for your party, because otherwise the party, it doesn't go well. It's like a disease. And if there's no coffee, not even a card or a change to incline each way, and you have place cards with everybody's name to show where everybody sits, a plan that has that excess. So a plan that makes everything to excess, and that break is the one that shows filling. And there's a break in one of the plates that has been filled with some sort of porcelain filler, and that was the piece that was lost earlier. So there you go. That's an interpretation of this poem, A Plate, by Gertrude Stein.